Hey everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Just Kidding with John and Kevin. Today we have
episode 7.
It is episode 7.
Right.
It's
6 was a two-parter.
So it's technically the 8th episode, right. But we have a special guest today. It's not Randy. It's not Randy today. We have another friend of ours named Ben.
So just prepared, it's not going to be as funny as Randy was.
but it's still going to be good and interesting. So Ben, give us a little bit about yourself.
Hey guys, I'm Ben. I work with John and Kevin at the grocery store. I'm not really a member of a department. I bag, I do produce, I do frozen, I do dairy.
He's cross-trained in a few
He
different
does everything.
So I guess you could say I kind of run the store.
But the thing about it, though, is like, John is great at what he does. I'm great at up front, but Ben's a little great at everything.
Ben's kind of terrible a little bit at everything.
At everything.
I like to think I'm pretty good at everything because they want me in every department. But
no, it's we're trying to kick you out. Nobody else wants you. That's what it is.
They just keep moving you down the line. No, we're just messing with you.
I don't know. So, before we started the podcast, we weren't sure exactly what our topic was going to be. And Ben and I played a little NBA 2K13, and I lost pretty much 2.5 times because I quit out the third game, and then threw a sandwich. And then, I was supposed to pick a topic, so we were kind of kicking around who's been the most influential people in our lives,
and how did they make us who we are today, and how we got the way we are.
Right.
Similar.
Can you guys think of anybody right off the bat right now who's just your number one influence ever?
Yeah, that's a really difficult question, John. That's a tough one. I'm gonna have to think about that one for just a second.
Now you had 2 weeks to think about it, Ben.
We told you about this 2 weeks ago. You don't do your homework.
Who's somebody? I'll tell you what. Probably obviously my most the number one influences in my life. You have to go with the parent card. I have to. My mom and dad are some of my best friends. That's where
you're a lot closer to your family and to your mom and dad and your sister more than a lot of other people are with their family. From what I've heard, I've never met your family. I've met you because your family lives hours away.
From what I heard, I'm I used to punch them in the face all the time.
So you're really close. You have a lot of personal contacts.
No, I was just really enjoying my family. I was blessed with a great family. Even it's not just
You're just saying that because they're going to listen to
so
this, right?
much. I'm going to stop saying my mother and my father and my sister and I have always been close, but I also have that closeness with my aunts, uncles, cousins, and everything like that. My whole family is just tight, and I don't know. I enjoy that. And it's cool because I'll still get letters from people. I still contact I have one grandfather left. I'll still talk to him. I'll still talk to my aunts. It's really cool, and Facebook helps with that stuff too. Because even though everybody still has their jobs, and we all, I'm not gonna go calling somebody 9-10 o'clock at night when I get off work, so it's always fun keep in contact even through them and catch up on pictures.
I agree with you with the whole family card because I have 2 older brothers, my parents, and then everyone is down here now. We all used to live in New Jersey, now we all live down here, so we're all together. So my whole life I've always been surrounded by all of my family members. I had friends through elementary, middle school, and whatnot.
When did you move down here from Jersey?
I was only 3 years old, so I didn't remember much of it. But my brothers were a little bit older, so they remember very little bit. My parents grew up in the north, they grew up over there, and so did my grandparents. So they're really comfortable with, moving and whatnot because they moved all around up there. But all of my family members are down here now. From my parents and us 5 to my grandparents, to my other grandparents, then my aunt, and everyone just slowly moved down here. So now we're all down here.
That's awesome, though. I would love for my family to come down.
Yeah, everyone just slowly came down. And now we're all here, and it's nice to get everybody together, which doesn't happen often because we all have schedules. We're all busy.
Right.
So it's Thanksgiving and Christmas we'll all get together, which is a big time for family, obviously.
Do you guys ever feel bad about that? About getting so wrapped up in for example, school or work or something that you don't get to talk to your family members that often? Do you feel bad about it?
No,
not
at all. Not at all.
Well,
you don't feel bad for
not
necessarily feel bad about it, but it's
I can't feel bad about something that's out of my control. I'm trying to build a future. So,
you're such a driven young man.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I would like to play the parent card too. The family card, the parent card, whatever you want to call it. I've always been close to my family. I was born and raised in the South, and my family
in the South, here, around this area.
Yeah, I've lived in the same house for 18 years. We're
from north, so we're different.
Say we're northerners.
But I'd like to I like to think that I'm really close to my family. I have one great-grandmother left. She's 92 years old, and she's still driving around, still goes and gets her own hair done. She's pretty well off for her age. And
yes or no, do you think your grandmother should still be driving a 92?
Absolutely.
Really?
Yeah, she's pretty sharp.
Do you think it should go by age? Do you think it should go by
competency?
Competency.
Yeah, she's definitely competent.
Like, you have a 65-year-old who's like, nah. I mean, that's not smart.
I wish I could see his face.
I've seen some pretty young Americans drive cars into buildings. You ever watch that show, America's Funniest Home Videos or whatever?
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah,
people are driving cars into gas stations on a daily basis.
Dude, they
especially
can't
people
drive
around
down
here. Around here, like...
No, but see, that's what we say about you guys from up north. Like, you guys can't drive.
No, you guys drive so terrible that it's the normal thing down here. So when, like, we come down and we drive, like, normal and go the speed limit, like, you think we're bad drivers. The other day, let me give you an example. Kevin and I were heading over to Wilmington, right? We get right in front of, what is that, the middle school right there?
Yeah.
Here comes this, like, giant motorhome behind us. I'm talking one of the ones that look like a bus, like a tour bus,
RV
you know?
Ones.
Here it comes, man. You know, the speed limit at that point is, what, 45?
45, yeah.
I bet you he was doing probably 10 to 15 over in the 55 zone and didn't hit his brakes. So he's probably, give or take, at 60 mile an hour. This dude's just barreling along. He's going so fast that the people pulling out of the school, because we were stopped at the red light, that the people coming out of school weren't even driving. Cause
they had the green.
They had the green. They're just sitting there because they knew this guy was going to do it. Sure enough, man, he locks them up. You hear the tires screeching and squealing. He skids sideways across both lanes. I creep up. He's going to hit us. So I ended up running right through the red light.
Because we had to. We had to go, like...
Yeah, I was sitting at the red light, and I had to go right through. Those people on the side were stopped at the green.
And I turned around.
I ran the red light so this guy didn't crash into everybody.
And I turned around to look to see how it was, and he was literally diagonally from the front of the fast lane going back, like, all the way across.
Well, let me ask you,
right, and then not only that, right? So this dude just skids sideways in front of a school, kids everywhere. Like, this just happens not even half a mile down the road. He goes whizzing past me again. And then hits the 70 mile an hour zone, in which case he's probably doing 85. So I'm like, really? Like,
can
you
RV
just
even go
almost
85?
Oh yeah, you can hammer down on that. I mean, they probably max out at 85.
No, those diesel pushers, man, they have some power.
And I'm like, this guy drives past with like NASCAR stickers and like Harley Davidson stickers on the side. I'm like, you're not a NASCAR driver. Like, you
drive for maybe somebody who is in NASCAR, maybe, but you're not the driver.
Like, and the thing is, like, I pictured, what if he had kids in the back of the RV? This dude just jams the brakes. They go flying out of their faces, smash against windows and stuff, like sleeping and flying off the bed. Like, it was terrible.
But people around here are such bad drivers. In the state of North Carolina,
ditches, and it's like dry out. There's not rain. There's not snow. You just see people in ditches. Like, I just want to take a 90-degree right hand turn into a ditch.
Here's what I would really like to ask you guys: Is there any possible way you can verify for me that this guy was from the area? Is there any?
I mean, I could have looked at the plate, but no.
But your license plate on your car says North Carolina, correct?
Correct.
But where are you from?
Ohio.
Okay.
Right, and I haven't had to skid sideways across 2 lanes of traffic.
No, okay, it's just I want to clear it up.
Let me just give you another example. Heading over to the beach one day, heading over to the island. Here's a semi-truck facing the wrong direction on the other side of the median, and he had like concrete like walls on the back. You remember that? You were working that night. Concrete barriers just broken all over the other side of the road, facing the wrong direction. Tell me how that happens, Ben.
Well, maybe here's okay. If I had to come up with a theory, and
another one. I was pulling out at the stop sign here one day. A guy driving past with an old truck, and a refrigerator falls out the back and blows all over the road. Well, and it skidded past me.
The incident.
Let's see. I saw 7 accidents. I work exactly 7 minutes from work. I saw 7 accidents on the way home one night. That's an accident a minute. An accident a minute. I've been stuck in traffic before because people break down and don't realize they should push their cars off the road.
Back to the broken concrete beams. I know what you're talking about. I passed that wreck.
Did you? Going down towards the island?
Yeah, the other way. Yeah.
Okay. So you weren't like stuck in that traffic.
Traffic was pretty bad on the other side of the road, and it's like, wow.
Yeah.
But my theory to that incident is this guy just moved from Ohio.
Oh, okay.
And probably the Cleveland area.
You say?
Yeah, he just came down.
Taking a mile or two.
Yeah, probably a couple years ago, and got a job with a trucking company here.
Okay.
And he was from up north, so he didn't know how to drive, and bad things happened. I mean,
now how exactly? I mean, you asked me about the RV driver. How exactly do you know?
He said
the guy. I said theory.
Right. So I see holes in your plan, Ben.
Anyway,
I see holes in your plan.
Did you know? Little side note here. In North Carolina, they have like a chart of the top 10 most accident-prone intersections, and 6 of them are in Wilmington.
Really?
6, and that
interesting. Is that like an official study with like
but 1 second
stats and?
But could it be the placement of the intersection?
No,
rather
but
than
no,
the
1
drivers
second.
who cross the
Just
intersection?
1 second.
I don't know. Do guns kill or do people
1 second.
kill? I'm not
1
too
second,
sure.
guys. 1 second. What I'm trying to say is, it may not always be the drivers down here as it is the engineering of the road construction. I'm just saying, sometimes, I'm not saying the drivers are the best, because I've had a lot of incidences and a lot of issues with drivers around the area, especially in Wilmington itself, more than this area. But there are 6, the top 10 in North Carolina, 6 are in Wilmington alone.
That's crazy.
And I'm not saying that's because of the drivers, and I'm not saying that's because of the roads. I'm saying it's a combination of both.
Where are they at? Are they like downtown or something?
No, they're
like
actually one is, I think, Military and Market, Market and College and New Center.
Okay, so it's not like roads that have been around for 100 years.
No.
They were like fairly recently.
Well, College is fairly recent, but Market's been around since the 1800s. Since
Really?
they just started developing roads. That was Market Street. That's where all of the markets were at. Obviously, it was Market Street.
Is that why
how
they
that
call it
works?
Market Street?
Yeah, and you know how College is called College Road? Because there's a college on it?
Because that's
Yeah.
where like 8 colleges were.
But why do they call military cutoff?
Because it used to go to the fort.
You don't want to hear it was a punishment back in the day. It was real bloody.
It went to the fort. It was a bypass to the fort. Military cut off from the main road to go to the fort.
Wow, that was fun.
That
So
is
influences in our life.
Anyway, so John, we've all played the parent card. Do you have any other cards you want to play?
I'll tell you what, I have like a few people that I've randomly met like in my life that really told me a story, like people that I couldn't pick out of a crowd right now, out of like 3 people. There was a guy I met, and when I was in Laurinburg, I think it was, before I moved here. This guy's name was John. I don't know what his last name was. I don't even know.
Was it the same as yours?
He looked exactly like me. Big eyebrows, fat, like double chin. It was weird. But it was this African-American gentleman. We got talking one day, and he introduced himself, and he just asked me if I liked my job, and obviously the answer is no, because I'm pretty honest with our customers. And he got talking about how he said, this guy was probably roughly 70 years old, maybe a little bit older, give or take, but kind of like what you said about your grandma. He was real, like, real sharp and stuff. Not that 70-year-olds can't get sharp. Can't be, but you know what I'm saying, just real on point. And we got talking one day. He was saying how he had, I want to say it was like 5 brothers and sisters, and he was the oldest. And he said that they used to work in a cotton field years and years ago when they were little. And that's what they would do for a living because their parents couldn't afford to have a house or anything like that. So he and his brothers and sisters, and he said he was probably, give or take, 15 years old, and they were on down to, let's say, 5 years old. They would go out and they would, work in the fields all day. Well, it came to a point where I want to say he turned maybe 17, 18, something like that, and he had the opportunity to leave and go do other stuff with his life. Could have went and got a job, could have moved away, whatever he wanted. But every single day, he said it bothered him that a school bus would drive by. It would pick up other kids, primarily white, from the bus stop that was right there, and the kids would look over and make fun of him and his family for not going to school and not getting educated. So he said what he did was he ended up applying for a job there at the farm they were working on and staying there full time, and use that money to send his brothers and sisters to school so they wouldn't have to work anymore. So he took the brunt of the force so they could go learn. And it was so weird because, like, being with Lydia, I mean, obviously she's a teacher. I've mentioned that before, and her families are all teachers, and, like, I appreciate education. But to see this guy who had an opportunity to, I don't want to say be selfish, but go live a life that he's always wanted to live and decided to give that up just so his brothers and sisters could get an education, because he realized how important it was to go to school. And, like, that guy, that stuck out with me for a long time, that story. I mean, long time is in like a year because I heard it last year or so, but it really showed that people now don't take education really how they should, don't realize the quality of education, free education in this country. And here is this guy knowing that if his brothers and sisters wouldn't have gone to school, the future for them would have been very bleak. And I guess they're all doing really well today. Ended up going to college and all kinds of stuff.
Have you like talked to him and got an update on everybody?
No, but it was one of those things where like I wanted to keep talking to the guy, but I know that story was gonna just stick. I mean, I was so intrigued with what he had to say, because you got to think this guy was 70 years old, give or take. That was over 50 years ago. you go back 50 years and you look at the racism and stuff that's going on there, it'd be a lot different than it is today. I mean, there's still racism going on, I believe.
No, there is still going on.
But not like it was then. So to think of the time he was in and this and that, I mean, you factor all that stuff in, and here it's, you know how hot it gets down here. This dude's working out in the field, that had to have been tough. But he realized, I'm going to sacrifice what could potentially be my future for my brothers and sisters. And he said they all went to college, they're all doing really well. And he ended up working there for so long. Right now, he said he was a heating and air conditioning guy. So he said he crawls under houses or, under, let's say, trailers and stuff like that. And, oh, yeah, I mean, he works with his hands still. But he said he'd do it over and over again if it meant that the rest of his family would get that education. And that's that's a story that sticks out to me.
Well, now I feel like my stories aren't going to be as good.
No, but like I said before, I've been lucky enough to have like awesome people put into my life at the right times. That's something I've been blessed with. And he just happened to, it was just, I felt stupid complaining about my job to him that day and hearing that, I should be more appreciative of what I have in my life. And then this guy just told this story, man, and I'm like, this is great. It's like one of those things where I've been wanting to either record or type out so I can remember it, for the future, because I just really enjoyed talking to him,
Yeah.
I feel like I was just like the African American lady who sat on the bench next to Tom Hanks in Forrest Gump.
You remember? Have you seen that movie? Right?
Forrest Gump. That's a great movie.
I know exactly what you're talking about. He just unloaded everything.
I'm totally enlightened by that story, and out of the 18 years of life that I've been blessed with, I've never encountered a moment like that. I've never had that great of an influential story put into my memory.
That's the thing, though. Like,
you also have another 10 years on him.
Yeah, I mean, I got some age on you guys.
I hope maybe in the next 10 years I can hear something like that, because
and just meet someone like that. Like I've done a lot of YouTube searches, and I've done a lot of like travel with when it came to music and stuff. Because like I said, I've been really big into music, and all throughout high school I was in the band. All through middle school I was in the band, and I did all these all these band things that we had to do for the school. And I mean, the most influential person would probably be my band director at the time. I mean, but it's nothing like that. But there was this one YouTube video I watched where this bass player, he was a street performer, and all he did was just play his bass on the street and give money. That's how he lived. And like,
that's awesome.
Like that's all he could. Like, he was so good that, like, I'm not joking. He was great. He has the same bass I do, actually, the 6-string bass, and it's really nice. And I don't know how he afforded it in the first place, because he said he wasn't doing well off. He said that's what he said in the interview, and he was like, I want to get a new bass now that I have a little bit more money, I have some income coming in, but this bass is mine. This bass has made me the way I am today, and this bass has made me so much money to make me live day to day that I can't give it up.
Right.
I can't put it down and pick up a new one. This is me. This is a part of me. And like, you can see how long he's been playing it, because he plays slap. I mean, when you play slap bass, you get pretty aggressive with your bass. Like, you kill your bass after doing it so much, especially with the wood finish as compared to like paint and all of the nice like glossy finishes. If you have just straight up wood, your fingers hit the body and your thumb hit the strings. Well, he has picked away like half of his body just from his fingernails.
Really?
Like, you can see like a huge little dent, and it's like peeled off. Like,
wow.
Like, you can see how like the finish is a really dark, like mahogany finish, but you can see like the white wood underneath. It's so like he's just so into it, and he just loves his.
That's really cool.
His bass so much.
That's really cool. How about you? I mean, like, well, you do like you do the football thing for a while. You know, you still interact with coaches, but has there been any coach in your life that's like not only just helped you out on the field, but I mean really encouraged, you know, just your schooling or in your education and stuff like that? I mean, not so you can keep playing football. I'm saying to legitimately like get a better future. I mean, has anybody drilled that into you that you can think of?
Yeah, I mean that kind of thing is really repeated by high school coaches around the country, and I mean they claim that they're trying to help you build your future and whatnot. But I feel like a lot of the lessons I learned with football, like goal setting skills and just being able to achieve and maintain those kinds of things, are the things that are going to carry through the rest of my life, and that were taught to me through football. But I'm not going to say anybody specific who punched things like that into my mind, because I feel like the coaches work as a team, and they do that collectively. But For an influential person in my life, I would like to give a shout out to Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Really?
Because of like the way he just works.
You guys know I'm big into fitness, and I lift weights 6 days a week. I guess you could say I'm a musclehead, or whatever you want to call me, but
I call you all kinds of things.
It's a big release. And reading Arnold's book, he just talked about how he would work 8-hour shift during the day, and he would come home after 10 o'clock at night, and he would either have to walk or ride his bike 8 miles to the gym. In the blazing heat of the summer, he would have to make the 8-mile journey on his bike. And he said one thing that stuck out to me was his leg day. He would go and do legs for 3 hours at a time and just totally demolish his leg muscles and have to ride his bike back 8 miles. And he said there were days where he fell over on his bike and he would just have to pick himself back up and finish the journey. If he had to walk his bike a mile or two, he would just have to do it, but he had to make it home somehow. That just really stood out to me.
He has such a drive.
This is a guy coming to the States from a different country that he was raised in, I believe Austria.
I'm pretty sure it's Austria.
So he came with nothing really. His family came with nothing, and he just said he wanted to be great. And
here he is being a governor of California.
And he's debatably one of the best bodybuilders of all time. So
he's at least the most popular. Everybody knows who he is.
Like if you say, you know Arnold, everyone's like, yeah, I know Arnold.
I mean,
you don't even have to say
he's
last
done how
name.
many movies and TV shows, and he's a great guy, and he's a big influence to a lot of people, I think.
How about this? If you could have any passion in your life, like that, his passion was bodybuilding and being healthy. If you could have any passion in any part of your life and increase that, what would it be? I mean, if you could have just an unending drive.
I'm going to have to go with the same passion. I mean,
would you?
That's just something I'm really into.
But you're kind of like that now, though, man. I mean, because you hit it so hard. I mean, everything you eat, everything you drink, everything's regulated in your life to help you grow. I think you're kind of like that now. I mean, you're not Arnold's size. Because let's admit it, he's not just some guy who decided to get big. You have to be an athlete.
Yep.
You have to have the right genetics. I mean, everything has to kind of be in line. He happened to have all that stuff, which is why he's the best. Just like LeBron. I mean, genetically, he is the man. And that's why he kills it, as much as I hate to say it.
Yep.
But you're like that now, I think.
Yeah, that goes back to the goal setting and things like that. I mean, you can if you learn how to set a goal and achieve it, you can do anything, really. And you don't have to, if you want to get into fitness, you don't have to say, hey, I'm going to be like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Yeah, that's a great image to put in your mind to strive for.
To give you something to work for, yeah.
But I feel like when you do things like that and you picture yourself as someone else, you get disappointed a lot easier.
And I know exactly how you feel because, like I've said, I've had a lot of music in my life, and I'm always like, I want to play like
B.B. King.
Well, for me, it's like I want to play like John Mayung from Dream Theater, and he's been awarded like the best bass player for the past like 4 years or so, and he's already been a great bass player before that. It's just I've always like I want to play like this guy. If I could just take his skills for one day, I'd be happy. And then I play like one of his songs, and I play it, and I can kind of play through it, but it's not clean. It's not exactly the way he plays it. I get disappointed. I'm like I suck as a bass player, and everyone's like, you don't suck as a bass player. You're doing the same song, just not as good in the same setting.
Do you think that's achievable to do what he does? I mean, if you put the time and effort into it, or do you think he has like that special gift where
okay, he's Asian.
Okay, we're good. We're gonna end that conversation. They can do anything.
No, he does just have like that gift because he started off like he's
maybe that RV driver was Asian. That's a terrible stereotype. I'm very sorry, Asians. I'm very sorry.
So one of you who
I think you guys just lost 2 out of your 3 viewers.
I don't think 2 of them are Asian. But like he started off really young, just like 5 years old playing the violin, and then he was like, Mom, Dad, I don't want to play the violin anymore. I want to play the bass. So they got him a bass. He started playing bass, and now he's where he's at today. 40 years later, still playing.
And then his younger brother Yo-Yo Ma was like, I'll take your violin if you're not going to use it.
But like I know what he means about the disappointment. Like you want to live up to this superstar who's known for doing this, and you just can't meet that expectation because you have other things in your life that you have to do. His life is to wake up, play bass, go to bed.
That's cool, though.
I mean, that's literally what he does. He wakes up. He is the only bass player that anyone has ever seen who practices 6 hours before he plays. Before he actually plays. So he'll wake up, he'll practice for 6 hours, and then he'll actually play with his band.
That's so cool. That's so much.
And then he does his warm down. He does all of his exercises.
Playing for 6 hours would physically exhaust you, but just think about like what it would do to your mental, your mindset. I mean, I go and I face product at the grocery store for 6 hours, and after the first 2, I just think I can't finish.
Yeah, but you don't enjoy that too. This guy probably has such a passion.
He has such a passion for it.
Just like when you're in the gym, man. Like I've seen you in the gym. You are at a level where you're concentrated. You know, even though like physically you might feel like you're breaking down, mentally you want it more, and that's probably what it's
you're still like, wow, it's already been 3 hours. It seems like it's only been 30 minutes.
That's true.
Like for him, he just wakes up. He's just going through his scales. He's going through his modulated scales, which you guys have no idea what that is, do you?
Modulated scales? Dude, we just talked about... Ben and I just talked about that last
night. Yeah, we were just talking about that the other day.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, because we don't like unmodulated scales. That's just the modulated.
He'll go through all the scales. He'll go through all of his exercises. He has like this exercise DVD that he'd made. It's like an hour and a half long.
For just bass playing exercises? Yep. Like, what... I'm curious, like, what is it? Just like arm curls for like an hour? Like,
there's a lot of exercise that you can do. Like, there's this one exercise called the spider, and what you do is it's the way
sounds like a wrestling move.
Yeah, it is. No, it's actually what he does. He wrestles his bass real quick.
Oh, okay.
Now, what it is, the reason it's called the spider is because you're working up and down the neck, but you're working up and down the neck with odd finger positions, like something you wouldn't typically play. And what you would do is like.
What's that, man?
If you would,
He's doing the spider. Ben's doing the spider.
I don't think that's exactly how it's done.
I mean, like, it's probably pretty close.
It's just the way that...
It's all about those modulated
It's the way
scales.
the fingers move. It's an odd position, so it makes it like... That's why it's called the spider. I don't know. It's just weird with how the fingers
That's
move.
smart, though.
So he'll like go through all these exercises, and he has this DVD on each scale and each... mode for each scale, and I'm not that into it. Like I enjoy music, I enjoy playing, and I know my scales, but I don't know every little thing about every scale and every little thing about every note like he does, and he'll play every single thing he needs to for 6 hours until he's ready to play with his band.
That's smart though, to go through that. Just like we were talking about Kevin Durant earlier. I know Kevin Durant, I mean, that dude shoots lights out, but his off season and his like practices are based off of making his weaknesses also strengths, so all around he is a great player, and it makes sense. I mean, really in any aspect of your life, work on the things that you're weak at, like one of the things I think with me, if I could change something about myself, is I would want to be less selfish about some stuff. I mean, about my time, about my energy. I would like to, like, one of the things I've not always wanted, I shouldn't even say that, one of the things I've wanted recently in my life within the last year or so is wanting to help other people. And a lot of that came from a couple like really bad choices, probably in the last 5-10 years. And one of it's because of my fire, which I've mentioned numerous times. But like before the fire, I was the guy who wanted like awesome new shoes and awesome new shorts and this and that.
You still
want
awesome new shoes.
But I don't care nearly as much now because like literally I had nothing. I was wearing a used shirt from my neighbor, a pair of his used shoes. Like, I had nothing to fit. I literally had nothing. And, like, from then on, I was like... And even Lydia's the same way. You don't view objects as, like, oh, these are my things. I want this, I want that. You don't really view that stuff like that anymore. Because you can live without it. You can survive without it. I mean, that's what it came down to, But, like, the last few years, my life's been changing in such good ways. And I think... certain people have come into my life to help me grow and build too, but I think at the end of the day, I would like to spend less time on, let's say, video games. Not that I've cut that down a lot, but even more, cut it down more and get more involved with my friends' lives and just talking and stuff. And it would be nice to actually go into a career path here soon where I could learn professionally how to help them deal with certain issues. Not that I haven't had those issues myself, and not that wouldn't, because right now it's almost kind of hypocritical because I've gone through stupid stuff, and here I am trying to give advice, but it's because of those experiences that
makes you feel
I can step up and say, listen, this is what I experienced, and maybe this can help you, and I would like to do that. Not just friends, I'd like to
be very helpful.
I mean, anybody. I would love, I mean, if I always said, if I ever earn a ton of money, like somehow get famous, let's say I finish my book and that sells, or let's say, even this podcast, a nice career comes out of this, I would love to take the majority of my money and start, like anything to, let's say, help the homeless or help, I always thought it'd be kind of fun to team up with, let's say, Dasani water or Aquafina, some big Pepsi, Coke company, and get like fresh water to parts of the world where they don't have that. You know, start up a system. And I don't care, man. Like, I don't want to be a guy who's, they're like, John Palooza's the best. I don't give a crap if people don't know my name. I don't care. Keep me nameless. Just let me be the guy to help.
Because you know.
Because I don't care, man. Because it's deeper than making me, like, up until now, I've always wanted to be famous. I always want to be the guy, like, the go-to guy and this and that. I don't want that anymore. I still want that fame. And I still want that power. But so I can translate that to helping people.
Right.
You know, even if people don't know who I am. And that's what I would love. I would love to have that.
So for Ben, if you asked him if you could have one passion towards anything, you were kind of like the drive to finish something or the drive to like work out and stuff. Yep. Yours would be just to help other people.
Big time, yeah, but like on a grand scale.
Well, yeah, I mean,
like I would love,
you would like to be able to help a village instead of one person,
right? Like if Ben came to me with an issue and we talked about it, or you or anybody, I would like to help that. But I'm talking like grand scheme, you know, big amounts of people. Because I mean, look at some of the most influential people in the world in history. I mean, you can bring out people like Hitler, Jesus, you know, like stuff like these people did major things.
And as bad as it sounds, Hitler, I mean, he may have done a lot of bad things, and he did a really horrible thing with the whole Holocaust and the genocide and stuff. But if you were a German at the time, not even a German soldier, just a German citizen at the time, he was like the biggest guy you could talk about because he was such a great public speaker. He was such an influential and persuasive person that he could actually get anything done just because of the way he talked. Did
you know that Hitler got turned down for art school? He was going to go to a German art school, yeah. They turned him down. And I wondered if, like, you know, because that was when he was younger. And obviously, people like that have a drive and a passion to do big things. It's just, unfortunately, his, you know, went very negative real quick. But I'm wondering if he would have been accepted into the art school.
What would have happened?
What would have happened, you know? Because, I mean, how do you know that he wouldn't have gained that influence? Did that crush him to a point where he felt like a failure and then he decided to succeed in other aspects of his life? Like, I'm curious.
I wonder if that German college is thinking that, like, right after it happened, like, crap, if we had just accepted him, none of this would have happened.
Right. Or I mean, do people, like, we were just talking about the Boston thing not too long ago, just interacting positively in people's lives throughout the day. How do you know that these kids that did this stuff weren't treated like crap by everybody around them for a while, when people could have maybe possibly been nicer to them and maybe things would have been different?
And that's why you can't always hold people accountable. That's why a lot of people are just seem ignorant in my eyes whenever after something significant happens like that, and everyone's just downing that person who caused that event. You don't know what they've been through prior to that.
And the thing about it is, we actually talked about this issue in my history class. It's an American history class, and we brought this topic up, and the teacher asked us, he was like, do you think that what this guy did was just in some way? Do you think that there is some justice in what he did in some way? Never. Now, right now, we don't think that. But he was just like throwing out ideas, and we were all talking about it. Right. And it was just really interesting to think about it from a different point of view. I understand, like, I mean, we, especially as like Americans, are really passionate about don't bring terrorism in here, don't do this.
I don't want to bring terrorism
anywhere.
Anywhere we've been through as a country, though, you know? But look how many incidents of terrorism we've been through.
Right. And I see the thing is, like, even though in that guy's mind that stuff may have been justified, and that doesn't mean it was a good decision. No, just because maybe because he can justify it in his life, like physical harm to other people, and even mental negativity towards other people is never good. It's never good. And with negativity, it's like a snowball effect, you know? Yeah. Because, like, I mean, we talked about it a million times before, man. You get a nice customer in the store, you're like, oh, that's great. You get one negative person, and all that positivity is just gone.
Which is really actually, going off of what you were talking about with yours, is to help other people and stuff. My passion, I guess you could say, would be just overall happiness. Like, for me and for everybody around me.
Oh, I thought you picked bass playing. I
thought I was just talking like about how other people in our lives and other people that we know have a passion. And his was about Arnold, mine was about John. So it was just, John my own, you know.
Ben's very passionate about Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
Very passionate.
I'm just passionate about the whole goal setting and achieving.
Yeah. No, I'm just.
But I mean, and I guess I do really enjoy playing my bass and whatnot. But that wouldn't be like, if I could give up my bass playing to make everybody happier, to make not one person happy, but like a group of people happy, I would do it in a heartbeat.
Dude, I hear you, man. Just like,
because like for me, bass playing is just a hobby, and yes, I'm really passionate about it, and yes, I love it. But for me, it's just a hobby, and to me, it's just something I do on the side every so often that I'll pick it up. I'll play for a month, and then I'll put it down for a couple of weeks. I'll pick it up. So for me, it's like my overall, I guess, goal in life is just to make me happy and make other people happy at whatever cost that takes.
Right now, at the standpoint I'm at in my life, I'm not in the position to help other people right now. I'm trying to work on myself. So
What do you mean by help other people? Like, in what ways are you referring that you can't do? Because, I mean, like, on a small scale, everything small scale always adds up to something larger, you know?
That's true.
So, like, on a small scale...
And of course, I can, like, just say something nice to someone one day, like, just someone random, you know, I can do things like that. But, like, your whole wide scale helping a mass group of people, I'm not in a position to do that right now.
No, and neither am I. But, I mean, I'm thinking big picture. But the thing is, are you popular in school?
Yeah,
realistically,
I guess you could say.
Okay, so like the thing is, like there might be. See, I definitely for sure wasn't. I was like the bottom of the totem pole. So like, let's pretend we went to school together, man. If I'm having a bad day and I don't necessarily interact with you every day, or even at all, man, if you walk by and give me a head nod and say, "Hey, what's going on? How's your day?" Even something simple as that could bring me up, because you know, like in school, I felt like, not just felt like, I was somebody who nobody really cared about except for my small group of close friends. You know, they didn't give a crap about us, man. Even to this day, some of those people still don't talk to me. You know, and I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be that guy. And for a few years there, man, I was had a big head, you know, and just like feeling I was better than other people. And then that lasted for a while, and I'm very ashamed of those days, you know. But I'm at a position now where I try to treat everybody as an equal, and I do lose my head sometimes because people irritate me, man.
Especially at the store.
But that's something I need to change about myself.
Yeah, but I understand exactly what you're saying, and I've seen John interact with customers, especially like rude customers. I've seen him interact, and he really bites his tongue on a lot of things.
The whole yogurt incident, you handled that really well, John. The yogurt incident with the woman,
where she threw the yogurt.
Yeah,
that lady.
You want to elaborate on that, John? I feel like people would get.
I think we talked about that the one day. I think I fired off about that one day, but I'll tell you what. Looking back on it. Of course I was angry, and I had to go talk to Chris Elder and this and that, but realistically, that lady, I don't know what kind of a day she was having. I don't know what kind of privileged or unprivileged life she's had. All I know is that at that moment, I had an opportunity to be positive to her and maybe possibly help something like click in her brain, maybe make those gears churning. I mean, because don't tell me she didn't know she wasn't rude to me. You know when you're rude to other people,
especially to like
how rude I don't care how hard of a person you are. You know when you're rude to somebody else, and I feel like I dropped the ball on that one, man. Like I was mad at that situation. I was mad at her, but at this point, since time's passed and I thought about it, I'm more mad at myself that I couldn't have stepped up and been better towards her. You know, and I think a lot of that would have gone to like wording. You know, not just saying, "Oh, here, ma'am, let me give you what you want." Not just that, you know, but saying, "We apologize, you know, we do the best that we possibly can, and I understand that you're very upset." You know, and maybe bring it down to a level where she understands that I'm a human being too, along with you, and I do my best. You know, and bring it, like, put her down on the same level. Just like when I'm talking to kids, like, I always stoop down and talk to kids face to face. Like, I always get down.
I love kids.
Because I don't want them to ever feel like, you know, I'm feeling I'm above them, or I'm the adult, you're the kid. I want to be one-on-one. Like,
yeah, and I do that a lot too. I'll like kneel down and if they're talking to me, if I'm at my register or I'm doing something, it's kind of hard sometimes. But like if I'm just out and about, and kids like talking to me, I'll kneel down, I'll talk to the kid.
And the thing is, it's all about making people feel you're equal, because that's when you start to connect more. And I should have gone about that differently with that lady. She made me hot, man. She made me mad, but I could have gone about that differently.
But you also could have gone about it in the complete opposite way and gone about it in a bad way and made your day way worse and made her day way worse, which would then just turn.
True, but but once again, it's all about like just trying to be positive. And this positive thing is extremely difficult, because it's not like one of those things where I want to, I can shut it off for a while, this and that. It's one of those things I'm trying to concentrate on being positive all the time, and it's extremely difficult. And I have a temper. Man, like I have a temper, and I don't care about little stuff like getting beat in NBA 2K. Like I get angry, but I'm talking like the grand scheme of things. When people's feelings and emotions are like on the line, like I want to be able to be the guy to like, fizzle out, like mellow out those flames, put out the fires, and make sure people are not necessarily happy, but leave at least thinking. If I could have left that lady leaving that day, if I could have left her saying, maybe I shouldn't have spoke to him like that because he was a nice kid, that's all I want.
Right.
You know, because maybe later in the day, if she was going to another store, instead of losing her cool again, maybe she could have been a little bit more positive and in place and checked herself, you know? So it's like those little things,
we touched back on the positivity that we talked about in the first episode.
I'm just saying,
and then and Ben and I, you know, we work up front, so we see every customer that comes in that store if they're buying something. We interact with all of them. You'll interact with a few of them, and you'll interact with a few of them that actually need help in your department. But for us, like, we interact with all of them, and we've dealt with a bunch of rude customers and also a bunch of nice customers. Like I mean, we talked about this in episode 4 with the Boston one. How how influential a lot of the customers are to us, and like they'll come in and they'll say, "Hey Ben, how are you doing?" or "Hey Kevin, how are you doing?" Because they know us. Like I said, we interact with all of them. And how many times, Ben? How many times have you seen a customer come in, and you can just tell that they're having a horrible day?
I mean, you can't count it with two hands. So I've lost track over the 2 years that I've been with the grocery store.
With the company.
Have you ever, like, lost your cool? I mean, something you may regret now, but have you ever, like, lost your cool and really said something, like, rude to somebody in your life or even at work or something that you wish you could take back?
At work, no. But
at work I haven't.
In life, for sure. Yeah.
Well, is there anything that stands out that really makes you feel like a complete jerk? Like, I'm trying to think because, like, I like to think that I'm funny. So, like, sometimes there's been times in my life where I probably have said stuff to people that, like, at the time I was like, haha, that got him.
Well,
but, like, looking back, I was like, man.
In high school, I was just one of those, it was me and a bunch of my band friends. We were all a group of friends that all hung out at, like, the cafeteria and whatnot at lunchtime. Well, I was always...
You call it friends? That's weird because I call you guys nerds.
Anyway.
Nerd. That's going to be my new thing.
I just call you nerd. Viewers, John's a nerd too.
Yeah, they know. We talked about my comic book collection like 2 episodes ago.
I was always like that sarcastic guy who was just, rude, but it was just as a joke type of thing. And I think there were a lot of times that I may have annoyed or, pissed somebody off just by saying something with, like, seriously, but in a sarcastic manner, but they don't pick up on their sarcasm. And I think I probably have hurt other people's feelings, and I mean I apologize for that, but like that's the only time that it really sticks out where it's like, I guess I went a little bit further than I should have.
I hear you. I think one of the biggest influences, like I've shared this with Ben and Kevin before, but one of my biggest influences is my best friend Michael. Like right now he's always gone through difficult stuff, and it just keeps piling on, but I'll tell you what, I've talked to Michael the last few days in a row. I've never learned so much about life off of one person that I've ever known, because he's just, it's so basic with him. It's so simple. Like, he knows he has to get by, and he does. Like, and when I hear, I'll complain about stuff like, oh, this is stupid, or I hate my job, this and that. I look back at Michael, and I just think of all the stuff he's gone through in his life, and I realize, yeah, thanks for punching me in my knee. But I think about him and what he's gone through, and he does it, man. Like, I've never known somebody so strong, I mean, mentally strong. Everything has been thrown his way.
I've never met Michael, but I really want to, because he's a good friend of yours, and I mean, I'm a good friend down here of yours, and I want to meet this dude. He seems like a really, like, powerful guy, but like in his own way.
I keep, because Michael has, he has a disease, and I don't remember the name of it right now. It's like endometriosis bullosa, or something crazy like that. And there's all this stuff that physically happens with Michael, but at the end of the day, he keeps going on. I mean, I've seen this kid go into the hospital countless times, get hurt countless times, even mentally and physically. Things just keep happening. And he keeps on going, man, like every single time. Like, I just talked to him earlier today, and he's in a rough patch in his life right now. And I feel like I'm right there beside him. Like, I don't feel like I'm hundreds of miles away and on the phone, and I'll do my best. Like, I literally feel just like we're still next to each other, man. Like, hand in hand, like, let's do this together, man. As, like, I feel like he's more than a brother, But at the end of the day, even after our conversation today, he's going through all this pain, but he can still find, a way to joke around. He can still find a way to smile and laugh. And I know that's hard for him, because of what he's going through, but this kid has taught me so much. And he's the type of person where I think he could write a book or go on, like, Oprah or something and say, this is who I am, this is what I've had to deal with, and, like, he could be a big influence. I really think he could, because, I mean, he's affected me, and I'm telling you, I was a jerk for a long time. a long time.
Nice going, John.
I know, right? But Michael's taught me so much, man. He's been one of the few constant things in my life, aside from my family and this and that. Like whenever something comes around, Michael is there always, and he always will be. Like that's just how our friendship is. He's one of my biggest influences too. He's right up there with my family. I mean, I love him just as much as I do like my sister and stuff, and I'm tight with my sister. Michael's just there. I've been blessed with him. I mean, do you guys have like any like friends you've been with since you were like? Because I've known Michael since I don't know, kindergarten, something like that. I mean, we've been together for a long time.
I had this one friend. He's still a good friend of mine. I haven't hung out with him in a while because our schedules are off. But I've talked about him in an earlier podcast with the video games. His name was Joey. Yeah. I mean, I've known him since kindergarten, and we've always hung out ever since kindergarten. And we've hung out. I mean, we can't even count the hours of how many times we've hung out and how many like. We've just done so many things together, like from, because he got a pool, like, late elementary school, from just going to the pool, playing video games at his house, we played Guitar Hero and Rock Band together. I mean, we did so many things together that, I mean, it's not in the same situation with you and Michael, because, I mean, that's a little bit of a different friendship, because, I mean, we've never had something that big in our lives happen, and we never had to actually be there for each other like that. But I mean, but I know as soon as if something really bad happened to him or something really bad happened to me, we would be there for each other, just because we've been there for each other for the past, wow, how many years? Kindergarten till maybe like the past 15 years, I'd say. I mean, we've been together for like that long. I mean, yeah, we've had our ups and downs, and we've lost contact, and we stopped talking for a couple times, every so often. Right. But we're still good friends, and we're still there for each other. That's the only friend that comes to my mind. I mean, there's this one friend of mine who I've known since preschool, but we kind of fell out of contact through middle school because she went more athletic route and I went more music route, which is nerdy, whatever.
Those never mix.
We just lost contact, and I mean now we're starting to talk a little bit more and try to hang out and stuff, kind of catch back up. But it's still not the same as like the friendship that Joey and I have.
Right. How about you? Is there anybody that you've known for like ever that you can like really confide in no matter how bad things are?
No, I don't feel like I have that kind of figure in my life.
Really?
I actually I suffered a pretty bad injury last year getting ready for my senior season of football, and I feel like I lost anyone in my life who could have been that figure at the time. So I mean, I kind of had to reevaluate myself and how I have to handle certain situations. And actually, a few new people have come into my life over the past year and a half that I can say I'm really glad to have, and it's still working itself out.
It's tough because you really don't realize who your friends are
until something
really bad
happens.
Just like with Michael and I, there's times, like I said, I was a jerk for a while, and there's times where we wouldn't talk for a while, months at a time or so. But in the end, whenever he needed me, I'm there. Whenever I needed him, he's there. I may have dropped the ball once or twice along the way with him, but I mean, to this day, it's one of those things where I've been lucky enough to have him, but the thing is, I needed him, I don't know if he would say that back. I can't imagine he wouldn't, but I needed Michael to help me grow, because I'm not a mature person by any means, but I would be way worse off if it wasn't for
the influence that he had on you. Yeah.
Right, he just
exactly
did, man, because I don't know, he just, so much was thrown his way at such a young age, Because I remember when we were young, I mean, give or take, let's say we were 5-6 years old, meant in like kindergarten or something. I'm almost 30 now, so I've been together for 25, 24, maybe 23 years. It's like watching him grow over the years and like learning with him, like I really appreciate that, because not everybody has that. Not everybody has that. But then again, I came from a smaller town, much more personal place, personal town, and it's like, I don't know, maybe that helps out, than coming from maybe a bigger place. I don't know, but I happen to get lucky, real lucky with him. And there's another friend too, my buddy Richie. My buddy Richie's in the Air Force and doing really well, and we started hanging out probably in high school or whatever, but still to this day, man, anything you need, Richie would do it. I mean, absolutely anything. He's just a good friend, and I keep meeting, like Ben said, good people along the way. And it's tough, man.
And going off of what Ben said earlier with how you never really realize how good of friends you have or how close certain one of your friends are until something bad happens. Like,
or you never realize, or it could be, the other way around. You don't realize how not good your friends are.
Yeah, exactly.
Let me ask you something. Do you ever think that possibly you've lost good friendships on account of your character, your personality? Now, I'm not pointing anything out about you two, but I know myself, I've had flaws. So it makes me wonder if I've lost out on really good things in life on account of me thinking that, that kind of person was kind of a jerk after a while, but maybe it was me. In the long run, maybe I wasn't the mature one and I wasn't the good friend.
You may have been like the like you're saying, you were the jerk in the situation. I've always grown up my whole life, trying to, whether or not I'm mad or whether or not I'm annoyed at somebody, I'm not going to hold a grudge on them, no matter what. I'm just not a person who holds grudge. I'm not a person who is typically a mad or a mean person. So if I hate your guts, I'm still going to give you the light of day. I'm still going to interact with you just like if I hated you, or just as if I liked you. I'm still...
Do you hate my guts?
No.
Well, you were kind of like pointing right at me. Like,
I was just using you as an example.
Looking me dead in the eye.
No, I was
like your hand was like coming towards my face and like pointing at me.
I'm just not going to hold a grudge towards you, and I'm not going to treat you any different if you were my worst enemy or if you were my best friend. I would a little bit because,
right. It's tough to just turn those emotions completely off.
Yeah.
It's like I'm a grudge holder. I always have been, and I'm getting better at it, at not doing that. But I'm getting to a point now where instead of holding the grudge, we're talking it out. Like, I had a problem with that one guy at work I told you for a while, and not too long ago, he and I kind of had like a little like, hey, I'm sorry, no, I'm sorry, this is why I say this is why I act like this, and like now, even though he drives me nuts and I don't like his judgment all the time, I know he's a nice guy. Work ethic. I know he's a nice guy. I really do,
Or at least he's trying to
be a better guy. He is trying, and that's the thing. And when you look at it, like, as long as he's doing his best, even though I may not approve of that, I at least appreciate that and respect that of him. I might do things differently at work, and I might view things differently, but he's doing the best he can, and even though it's not perfect, he can get better. He could do better. So I've kind of, he drives me nuts, especially having to, like, clean up after him and, like, fix everything. But at the same time, I do appreciate
working up front, I have the similar situations. Like, I can, there's a lot of cashiers and baggers that just don't have a good work ethic at all, because most of them are 16, 17 years old, still in high school, not really giving a crap about work. They just go because their mom makes them. Some of them are really, like, they're really into it, and they really work hard when they're there, and they're really trying. Those are the ones I really respect, and those are the ones who I really like as a worker. But as soon as you're off, I'm going to treat you the same as a worker and same as a coworker as compared to a friend. I'm going to treat you the same while I'm there. If you want to hang out, I may not hang out with you. It may sound kind of rude, but sometimes I don't want to.
Yeah. Well, personalities don't always click.
Yeah,
too,
and I may not have, like, fun hanging out with that person, but I'm not gonna hate on. Let's use Ben as an example this time. Let's say he was a really bad bagger, and I knew it, but I just didn't. He wanted to hang out. I just didn't want to, and I wouldn't tell him I don't like you. I wouldn't tell him you're a bad worker. I would tell him what to fix. I would try to give him the constructive criticism, but I wouldn't be rude about it, or I would try not to be. Sometimes it may come off rude because it's hard to say. It's hard to try to fix things in a nice way sometimes, but I would not try to purposefully hurt Ben's feelings.
And he's really big too. Like, I wouldn't want to hurt Ben's feelings.
I could take him.
I think so. Looking a little small.
Anyway.
Careful now. You want to rip that shirt over there. I don't know. Like I said, I've had some good influences in my life. But then again, I have that age on you guys too. And
you've met more people, and you've met more of those.
True, but at the same time, I've been also open to learning about people. Like I had the guy, Vincent. When you walked over the other day, I was talking to an older gentleman. He said he was 85 years old. His name was Vincent. And he was telling me just a little about his life, about how he went to Seton Hall University and stuff. And it was just really cool. But he kept pointing out that, he said it literally probably 3 or 4 times, that he got to the point where he's at in life now, at 85 years old, because of the instructors and the teachers in his life. And, like, that's interesting, because here's a guy with 85 years of living experience. He's probably done and seen it all, at the 85-year mark. But he contributes what he knows today to his teachers. And I don't think he meant teachers as in, like, just in school. let's say, I think he said he was in the military, so maybe, instructors in the military and stuff like that. I mean, people who have taught him over the years, and I think it's really cool. But I've had a chance to meet these people like Vincent, like that John guy has said, because I'm always open to talk to people, because you never know what kind of surprise you're going to get. Like, that old guy, honestly, was standing in my way when I was trying to work. I could have easily just went around the cart, picked up something else, and kept working. But I said hello, and it got this great conversation out of it, but I'm always open to that sort of stuff. You never know who you're going to meet, what type of a day they're having, what situation they're in. And that's another reason I've been so blessed, man, because if you start to get to know people, man, they open up and you can find out some great stuff. Man, you find out some great stuff about people.
It's crazy to think like how so many people that you interact with every day has all these amazing stories that you would never know without you getting closer to them and without you really getting to know them. Like you and the Vincent guy, if you didn't say hi to him, you would not know that. And it just took a hello. And that's only one guy out of how many thousands of people come into our grocery store, a month.
Okay.
Right, and think of it this way too.
I mean,
that John guy I talked to in Laurinburg, he was give or take in his 70s. This Vincent guy was 85 years old, and both of them, two guys that live a couple hours apart, don't know each other. A white guy and a black guy both said that their biggest influences in their lives was something to do with education, something to do with information and teaching. I mean, what does that say? I guarantee you ask somebody.
Well, you also
now,
have to remember back 50 or so years ago, education was a big pride thing to have,
and it still
is today. But now it's a lot more of like technicalities, like technical.
Today it's overlooked. Education is overlooked.
It is overlooked.
I completely agree.
And your wife is a great teacher, but there are a lot of teachers who are not great teachers. Like there's a saying that if you can't do, you teach, and I hate that saying because the better you are at doing, the better you are at teaching.
The way I see it is kind of like this. If you had, let's say, I love basketball, so let's go to a basketball analogy. If you have, let's say, a great coach who can't coach a team, let's say they have a terrible record. Let's take the Charlotte Bobcats this year, the worst record, right? And that coach gets fired. Does that mean he's not a good coach? No. Because how many times, could the players have stepped up, and I'm saying I don't necessarily think it's the coach all the time. I think a lot of times it could be the players, because you never know what their intentions are. Maybe they're like, we don't like this guy, so I'm not going to play.
Stick it to the man.
Or I don't like passing to this guy over here.
I'm not so sure you can relate it to a professional league team such as that, because these are athletes who have been through the collegiate stages and they've made it to the top. They're there. They're in the real deal, as high as it gets. And
you can't get any higher.
Whenever you're a coach at this point in time, I feel like you're not influencing the players as much as a high school coach is influencing their players. These players, either they have the motivation for the season,
to become the best.
They have the motivation to win this game, or they don't. And they're getting paid millions of dollars. So
but does that motivation go back onto the coach though?
I mean,
I'm saying, what if the coach does his hardest and tries?
Some of these coaches may not be any older than
some of the players.
Players in this league, and it's questionable whether or not they're even that they even follow the coach's doing.
Right, but maybe that's the problem. That's what I'm saying. Maybe it's not always the coach, because
exactly.
Realistically, it shouldn't matter. Yeah, it shouldn't matter on age, even though it might in some cases.
That's something I hate about ages, because someone who may have, I'm going to use my music again. I know it's kind of a nerdy way to move it, but cool. I'm going to use it again. Whenever I've done a lot of my music things, I've taught high schools before, and I was only 1 year or 2 years out of high school. Right. And I've helped out with drum corps, and those people, there's this one drum corps I was doing, Carolina Gold, over in Greensboro. What I would do is I was typically just on the brass line, so I didn't do much of actually teaching there, as much as I was one of the students, you could say. But this is an all-age corps where there's people anywhere from 14 all the way up to 60. We've actually had a 60-year-old marching out on the field with us before. And I was 19 at the time, 18 or 19, whenever this all happened. So, you have this huge range of people. One of our instructors was a 30-year-old dude. And he's like, now, some of you guys have, 30 years on me, but I hope that doesn't influence the way you guys look at me. I'm still, a band director. I'm still a very well, experienced musician. I know what I'm talking about, and you guys may know what you're talking about too, but right now I'm in the front. So that kind of goes with your coaching. Like, he may be the same age as all these other players, but he still has the players still have to listen to the dude in front, the leader.
And then it comes down to experience and knowledge too. That's a big
exactly
thing.
What I was about to say is experience.
So just going back to the education thing, I don't think we value it like we should in our society, or like it was valued at one time. And sure, there may be teachers out there that don't do the best. They may not care nearly as much, but at the same time, the students, if you have one disruptive student in a classroom full of 20, 25, that one particular student could be ruining it for the other people too.
Yep.
The other kids, and it's just not good. I think, as parents, as just people in the American society, we should put a shift back to education, and look at colleges now too. I mean, how many colleges out there, when I ask you, Ben, okay, if I give you a college, what would you think of? Like, let's say I said Ohio State, or South Carolina, or North Carolina, or this and that. You're probably automatically thinking football, basketball, this and that, stuff like that. You probably don't think so much academics. And they're like, I hate that, man.
But it also depends on the topic you're talking about. Like, Ben is a big sports guy. If you ask
me...
But
then again, general, yet again, too. I haven't had the chance of experiencing college yet. I'm a senior in high school on my way to that stage. So I haven't experienced that aspect of college. All I've seen is the open house where everyone just goes and it's about fun. It's what they're promoting is fun and the whole experience. But here in a few short months, I'm going to be on a college campus.
You're going to ECU,
East Carolina, yes, sir.
That's cool. Aren't they the Pirates or something like that?
Yeah, the Pirates.
You're going from the Pirates to the Pirates.
Purple and gold.
That's really cool, though. But the thing is, like, I would love to see the shift go back to... Now, I'm not taking away from college athletes because they work hard.
They do.
That is a full-time job.
They also have a lot of things given to them.
Right. That's a whole nother conversation, man.
I don't feel like we should branch out to that.
Yeah.
No, at least not today. That'd be a nice one to branch out to with you another day. But because they do have all kinds of privileges that are not sanctioned by the NCAA or their schools. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying all of them by any means. But some are taken care of. But it'd be nice to see even a shift in colleges. Like, I went to Kent State. And that's not the richest university in the world by any means, but it's one of the largest in Ohio. It's like the second largest or maybe third, But to see all the money that they're dumping into certain things and this and that, and I can't help but question. I'm like, you can't come up with a couple scholarships instead of maybe a new statue over here, a new this over there. Like, I feel them being like such money makers, and tuition's always going up. You never see tuition drop, ever. See tuition going up, but I don't see the quality of education necessarily going up. And we had older buildings at Kent State that were there for years and years and years and years and years. I mean, they're bad. Literally chunks of buildings missing. Yeah, tuition's going up. So where's that money going? It's going into the pockets of the president and everybody like that. And it shouldn't be like that. We need to shift back to a quality education. Because I guarantee you, if you go back to when Kent State was, a brand new school, I think they just crested 100 and some years as a college. I guarantee you they started the college because they wanted to teach. They wanted, higher learning there. Not because they're like, oh, we could probably make a ton of money by doing this. I would love to see that shift back to education. I would really like to see that. Okay,
well, we're going a little over an hour mark, so I guess we're going to go ahead and cut it off here. But before we do that, we didn't get to John's call out of the day. We'll make sure we do that for you guys next time. But I do have a fun fact for you guys. Actually, I have two fun facts for you guys.
Two fun facts of the day? That's something we want to start doing.
We're going to start doing that too. So the one fun fact is a duck's quack does not echo, and no one knows why. It just doesn't echo. A duck.
How do you figure that out?
I don't know. That's what it says.
You put it in like a little box with like a little microphone.
It just says it doesn't echo, and no one knows why. And then it says, while in the course of an average lifetime, you will sleep while you're sleeping. You will eat 70 assorted insects and 10 spiders.
I heard about that.
Yeah.
I've heard about that.
Yeah, I didn't know it was like exactly like 10 and like 70 and 10, but I knew like while you're sleeping you will like ingest.
Even one is probably way too much for me. Yeah. Like that's gross.
Yeah.
That's gross. I saw this cool.
If you think one is too much for you, but you ingest 70,
this isn't a lifetime. Over
that's like a bug a year though.
Give or take, yeah.
That's gross.
Yeah.
It's kind of gross. Did I tell you I saw this on YouTube the other day? I saw a prank where they had 2 sets of twins. They had like a bathroom set up, but really there's just a plain glass. It was a glass instead of a mirror. Had the same exact room set up on the other side, and 2 sets of twins. There's a twin on one side and a twin on the other, and they were doing the same exact motion, just reversed. So they would be sitting there at the sink, washing their hands and brushing their hair. It coordinated, and they would show people walking in. They'd go to look in the mirror and they couldn't see themselves. So then they would look over at the twin, and you could see him starting to get real nervous. And then he would have another set of twins walk in
at the same
time, do the same exact things, go through the same motions. These people, their eyes were huge. They'd duck out of the scene and then poke their head into the mirror place again, and then wave their hands.
That
in front
would be really
of the mirror.
fun to see. We have to take a look at that.
How weird!
But those are the fun facts of the day.
I don't know why I thought about that. Maybe the box room quack thing. Maybe I don't know, but it was really cool.
But anyway, so thank you guys for joining us for another episode of Just Kidding with John and Kevin with our special guest Ben.
Yes or no?
I had fun today.
Will you come back and do another one with us?
That's a definite yes.
That's definite no. He thought about that. We're gonna add a dramatic pause in there. We're gonna edit in a pause and be like, no.
We'd love to have you back, Ben.
That'd be awesome,
We'll get all that stuff settled out. We're gonna try to get Randy back in here. We're gonna have a few other people joining us for the next future episodes.
Right. We gotta let Ben go to the gym now.
Yeah, he has to get working out.
He has to go get his flex on.
You guys have a great day, and thanks for joining us tonight.
Bye.